Hi, join me back with the tumble dryer, and today I've got a few more spare parts. I've got this new mains suppressor. Also got this old suppressor to remove here. Orange on this one is neutral to the machine, blue is neutral to mains, and then you've got live on this side. On the new one you've also got your live and neutral terminals there, designated by, if I just focus in, quite simply L and N. So if you remember, there are two screws holding this one in, so we need to uncouple the relevant cabling, obviously with the machine unplugged completely. There we go, so that's our relevant cabling, including these two earthing points, uncoupled. Now, this one seems to share the same mounting points at the top. I did have to remove these lugs on the back because they don't seem to line up exactly with this. This is more of an aftermarket part than a general Beko part, but it should work absolutely fine. Now, it's quite clear when you look at it why I want to replace it. Those cracks, not the best, and also it is a bit sticky. Now, this is the resin stuff that sort of covers the actual capacitor itself. They do tend to get a bit sticky with age, but even though it's probably sealed inside, I'd rather replace it, given that the cracks could allow moisture in, which could allow this to produce a nice little smoke show. Anyway, let's get the new one installed. There we go, there's the new one installed, live on this side, which should coincide with that. If we can, we'll try zooming in on that. That should coincide and match up with the letter L, which you can see there. Neutral on this side, if you remember, machine neutral is that sort of salmony orange pink sort of colour. Right, I'm going to give this a quick test and then I'm going to move on to my next job, which is removing the front panel and restoring some of the buttons in the front panel. So with the panel unscrewed, which we covered in the last video, there is this little multi-plug that plugs into the timer delay button here. Now, the actual front panel itself, or the illumination panel, seems to be held in with a series of clips. So it should just be a case of gently releasing those clips, and that should allow us to remove this front membrane panel. What we'll also need to do is transfer this little circuit board onto the new panel. So, I'm going to spend a little bit of time taking this off, and then we'll take a look at that one shortly. There we go, that's the illumination panel removed. Don't be surprised if some of these lugs actually break. There should be enough here to allow me to clip it back into place. However, you can, if you manage to save them, possibly glue them back in. Once the new panel is in place, you could put a bit of blob of hot glue onto the points such as here, and the points where there should be locating tabs, just to seal the unit back in place. Just if it ever breaks again, you'll probably need to have a new front panel, or carefully remove the hot glue. So, this is the panel that's come out of the machine. We've got a timer delay button here, and the timer delay button, if we take a look at it, is held on with a couple of little clips. So we have 1, 2, and it looks like it actually slides underneath here, these 2 points here. So, we've also got the button here, which we need to remove. So that should, looking at it, actually unclip. So we'll need to unclip that from this little piece here. So this does actually click into it. So if you do that, you can see there's a couple little clips here. The button will pop out if you depress those clips. So let's see if I can do this one-handed. Let's focus in. There you go. And if you do that, you should be able to pop them out like so. So you've got a large one on this side. In fact, because I'm not going to be reusing this, I should be able to just bend that back and then gently tease this out of the way. Yeah, so you can see that the clips are the final point where it goes on to, and there you go. And that pops out like so, and that actually does bend back into place, so that is actually quite a flexible piece of plastic, so you could theoretically reuse that, but we're not going to, because we have this new one, which actually looks a bit smaller than the old one, which is a bit strange. Well, it will be interesting to see if it's the correct part. This is interesting, they supply you with this actual part here, so this is for the most part the correct bit, but it seems to be missing this portion of the actual piece. So what I'm going to do is I could probably use a craft knife to slice down here to remove this portion, and then these two panels will go on separately. It does seem to suggest that on later machines they have actually separated both of the panels, unless... no, there's nothing in there, it hasn't snapped off. I mean, that is too clean to be a snap. So I'm going to get a craft knife and actually see if I can separate this. There we go, that's been successfully removed. So there it was on the old one, and there is where it will sort of sit on the new one. There should be enough clips holding it in. We may have to hot glue it a little bit just to get it back into place. So I'm going to start reassembling these buttons. Should just, if you've got a small clip and large clip in the correct orientation, they should just pop into the front like so and clip into place. There we go, there's one. So I just need to do the other. I need to put this little switch back into there, and then we should be ready to refit it to the machine. There's our first piece back in. As you can see, it is possibly a little bit loose that side, so you might want to get a bit of hot glue onto these points here just to clip that into place. However, I wouldn't do that until we've got the main panel back in, like so. So we'll just pop that back on. Now there's a possibility we may need to trim that one slightly so that this actually sits in completely. However, it looks like we might actually get away with it. And having that one in place actually does seem to hold that one in a little bit more as well. So let's just make sure that these clips all sit nicely. There we go, and we should be able to put this back on. Right, let's get that back on, and then we can check the operation of the buttons. Right, so here we back are with the buttons. Let's check the timer delay. That one works. Let's check this one. Working well. Cancel and hold, press for 3 seconds. There we go, let's reset that one. So timer delay, working well. So that is both the mains suppressor and the front panel sorted out. So I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the machine. I won't bore you with the procedure because it's very much reverse of putting it back together, also taking it apart. Don't forget that you have your 2 locating lugs for the top panel, which go into the side panel when it sits back on. The other thing I've noticed that you may want to consider replacing, and it would require stripping down of the machine. So when you actually come to replace the rollers, there is a foam membrane sort of thing that goes around the outside of the drum itself. So it would involve having to get the drum all the way out, and then there is this foam thing which goes around the outside. It probably would be worth replacing that as well, because the drum does seem to sort of rub up against it. I discovered that after I sort of noticed that my one had been destroyed and was actually jamming the drum slightly. So I've disassembled it, cleared it all out, and it does seem to be working, but that's going to be the next thing on my list. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe because I've got more stuff coming up, and thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time.